Welcome back inside a rainy Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined by Ryan Hannable, Patriots expert writer for WEEI.com. Ryan, a special guest at the beginning and the end of Patriots practice, so to speak, today. Not really a guest at the beginning, a surprise. Julian Edelman was back on the practice field here in the pouring rain. He did go through some drills, individual drills. He caught a few balls from Tom Brady, made a couple of cuts on a very wet field, and then called it a day as the Patriots and Saints continued their glorified walkthrough in the downpour. It was Julian Edelman making his way back down to the lower practice field to get some individual work. Well, what did you make of Julian Edelman's return to practice here on Wednesday?
First of all, it was a great sign to see him on the field. Granted, he didn't participate in any team drills or, go against any defenders, but it was a great sign for him to be on the field. And if they had any sort of, hesitations with him being on the field, they probably would have held him back with the wet grass, and they didn't do that at all. And even when he left the field, he did some conditioning on the lower field. So I think that the Patriots really did dodge a bullet yesterday with him, and I think, he probably won't play in the preseason game tomorrow night or maybe in the preseason at all, but for sure it was definitely, a good sign that he's back, and I don't think he's going to miss any, regular season time.
Had a chance to ask Rob Gronkowski after practice today if he was holding his breath, because he's somebody that went through the same type of injury issues trying to get back on the field and really doesn't play in preseason at all. And he looked at me and said, I didn't even know we left the field on Tuesday. I don't know if I believe him or not. I have no reason to not believe him, I guess. And he said, I am breathing just fine. In other words, the whole team, I guess, at this point feels Julian Edelman's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to be ready when the bullets really start flying for real.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the football players have the same mentality of just whenever they're on their field, they're going to go all out. They're not going to, go 75%. Once you're on the field, you're on the field. And I think every player has that mentality, and they sort of know that it's part of the game. Injuries happen, and Gronkowski's had a few injuries of his own, so he knows that they just happen. You can't do anything to prevent them, and I think that's just the mentality of the whole team, and they're not going to hold their breath or really even, they're going to pay attention to Edelman, sure, but they're going to just move on.
All right, Chris Long spoke after practice today, and he said, look, I don't know the severity of Rob Ninkovich's injury, which has been reported as a torn triceps muscle, not the tendon. He should be able to get back on the field if all goes well by October. But Chris Long is one of those guys that the Patriots brought in to provide some depth along the defensive edge. And he said that, look, when my number's called, I'll be ready. But, I'm still taking it day by day. I am not assuming anything at this point.
Yeah, and actually Trey Flowers had sort of the same sort of message. He's in the same position as Chris Long, as guys who could potentially, get more playing time with Ninkovich's absence. And I mean, I think that's just the FOXBORO mentality, is they just take things as they come, and they have the whole next man up mentality. And when you look at the next guys up, those are two guys who probably will see the most, benefit from Ninkovich's injury. So I think, Chris Long, Trey Flowers, Grissom, those are guys to keep an eye on to sort of get, extended reps.
All right, back to Rob Gronkowski for a moment, Ryan. Whether or not he plays, almost certainly I would think he gets held out again the entire preseason. Chris Price has documented this very, very well on WEEI.com. He hasn't played, I believe, in 14 straight preseason games, I believe is the number, and I would expect that to reach 15 on Thursday here in Foxborough. But Gronkowski and Jimmy Garoppolo both talked after practice here on Wednesday about being on the same page. And I asked Garoppolo, what makes you think that you guys are all on the same page? Because he kept bringing that up. And Garoppolo's answer was, I know where guys are going to be when I let go of the ball. There's a trust. And Gronkowski agreed with that summation. Based on what you have seen in practice, Ryan, would you get the idea that maybe the execution hasn't been there in terms of some of the interceptions, but the timing, for the most part, is?
Perhaps. I mean, Garoppolo has looked a little bit shaky when it comes to decision making, and it's hard to decipher, where that, lack of decision is. Is it he doesn't know where his receivers are, or is he just holding the ball on too late? So, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell until you get out onto the game field and actually go, full speed with full pads. So, I mean, and I don't even know if we'll be able to tell tomorrow night, because Garoppolo is going to be not with, Edelman, not with Gronkowski, not with the top guys. So I think that's just the kind of thing you have to hope works out, because, I mean, they're probably not going to get any reps together during the preseason. So, like you said, that both players talked about how important it is to know and trust the receivers, and so I guess you just have to go with that trust, and you find out week one just where you're at.
Okay, at the end of this very windy, rainy practice outside Gillette Stadium on the grass fields, the Saints and Patriots circled around a certain individual who had made a trip to Foxborough, Eric LeGrand. Of course, the paralyzed former Rutgers special teamer was here in Foxborough addressing both teams. Obviously, Devin McCourty, Deron Harmon, and Logan Ryan Jonathan Freeney all have connections with Rutgers. McCourty played with, obviously, LeGrand at Rutgers. And to a man, as you might expect, everyone was inspired on both teams by the message, the inspiration of Eric LeGrand. Your thoughts in talking to some other players who might have addressed that issue after practice?
Yeah, they said the same thing, obviously, and it's very uncommon in these days to sort of see both teams come join together as 180 players listening to one man speak, and that's the type of guy who's going to draw that attention. I think it was great for everyone who were inspired by his message, and a good time for it, I think, too, within the training camp to sort of get your motivation for the season. I think everyone was came away inspired by whatever he said
and provided a great deal of perspective. That'll do it for the final day of Patriots practice before their preseason opener. That's Thursday night, right behind us here inside Gillette Stadium. The Patriots and Saints, 7:30 Thursday night. For all of the coverage of Patriots camp on WEEI.com, visit the It Is What It Is blog. Coverage from Christopher Price, Ryan Hannable, and yours truly, Mike Petraglia. For Ryan Hannable, I'm Mike Petraglia inside a wet Gillette Stadium, WEEI.com.